History remembers her with a cruel nickname. Juana the Mad textbooks will tell you she was the unhinged Queen of Spain, a woman so broken by grief that she lost her mind. But that's not even half the story. The truth is a far more disturbing tale of obsession, psychological torture, and a horrifying cross-country journey with a rotting corpse that turned an entire kingdom into a funeral procession. This is the story of how the most powerful woman in the world was betrayed by everyone she loved, and how her profound grief was weaponized to erase her from history. What they did to her is something they definitely don't teach you in school. So if you're ready to uncover the truly dark secrets of royal power, hit that subscribe button, because this story is a nightmare you won't forget. When Juana of Castile married Philip of Flanders, it was supposed to be a standard political alliance. She was the daughter of the legendary King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella of Spain. He was the heir to a vast European territory, nicknamed Philip the Handsome for his striking good looks. But for Juana, this wasn't politics. It was a terrifying, all-consuming obsession. From the moment they met, she fell violently in love. We're not talking about a fairy tale romance. This was a desperate, jealous, and possessive passion. She would fly into rages if he even looked at another woman, and he was a notorious philanderer. Court records describe screaming matches, physical altercations, and periods where Juana would lock herself away, refusing to eat, consumed by jealousy. But here's the twisted part. Her entire world, her entire sense of self, became tied to this one man. She was the heir to the Spanish Empire, one of the most powerful positions on the planet. But none of it mattered to her. Only Philip mattered. And that dependency was about to become the perfect weapon for her enemies. In 1506, tragedy struck. Philip, just 28 years old, died suddenly from a fever. And this is where Juana's story transforms from a sad romance into a full-blown gothic horror show. She refused to let his body be buried. At first, courtiers thought it was just profound grief, but then the days turned into weeks. Juana ordered Philip's body to be embalmed and placed in a lavish lead coffin. She kept the coffin in her private chambers, guarding it day and night. But wait, it gets so much worse. Multiple historical accounts claim she would frequently order the coffin to be opened. She would gaze at his decaying face, caress his embalmed hands, and kiss his lifeless lips, trying to will him back to life. The smell in the castle became unbearable, but no one dared defy the queen. Then, she decided to move his body from the city where he died to Granada, a journey of hundreds of miles. What followed was one of the most bizarre spectacles in European history. The Queen of Spain, heavily pregnant with their posthumous child, began a months-long funeral procession across the country, but she laid down a horrifying rule. The procession could only travel at night, because she declared that a widow who had lost a son of her own soul should not travel in the light of day. Imagine it, a phantom procession moving through the Spanish countryside in the dead of night, led by a grieving queen, followed by a court of terrified nobles, all escorting a rotting corpse. They would stop at monasteries, but Juana forbade the coffin from being taken into any convent or church where women were present, consumed by a paranoid fear that even in death, another woman might steal her husband. While Juana was dragging her husband's corpse across Spain, the men in her life saw an opportunity. Her own father, King Ferdinand, began circulating rumors that she was hopelessly insane. He claimed her behavior proved she was mentally unfit to rule. Think about the sheer, cold-blooded cruelty of that. He saw his daughter, shattered by the death of her husband, and didn't see a person to be comforted. He saw a political obstacle to be removed. He used her bizarre funeral march as evidence of her madness, staging what was essentially a coup. He forced her into confinement in the royal convent of Santa Clara in Tordesillas. He became the regent of Spain, ruling in his mad daughter's name. But the psychological torture was the worst part. For years, her father, and later her own son, Charles V, kept her a prisoner. They controlled every aspect of her life. They told her that her father was still alive and ruling for her long after he had died. They gaslit her, manipulated her, and fed her delusions to keep her weak and compliant, all while they wielded the power that was rightfully hers. She was Queen of Spain on paper, but in reality, she was a prisoner in a gilded cage for 46 years, until her death. Here's the question that historians still debate. Was Juana truly mad, Or was she the victim of the most successful character assassination in history? There's no doubt she was suffering from what we would now call severe clinical depression and complex grief. But was she insane? The men who stood to gain everything from her being declared unfit, her father and her son, were the very same people who controlled the narrative. They describe her every action in the most sinister light possible. Her profound love was labeled obsession. Her debilitating grief was labeled madness. Her refusal to give up her husband's body was a symptom, yes, but was also a desperate, symbolic act of refusing to give up her power and her connection to the one person she trusted. The truly disturbing part is that we will never know for sure. Her story was written by her enemies. She was a woman in a world of powerful men, a queen whose emotions were used to strip her of her crown, her freedom, and her own identity. So there you have it, not Juana the Mad, but Juana the Betrayed. A queen so consumed by love that her grief became a public horror show, a spectacle that her own family used to lock her away and steal an empire. Her legacy isn't one of madness. It's a terrifying masterclass in how easily a powerful woman can be silenced. If these dark corners of history fascinate you, hit that like button, subscribe for more shocking royal secrets, and tell me in the comments, do you think she was truly mad or was she the ultimate victim?